Every Puritan will be flattened when Scarlett takes Manhattan, and all you Bowery girls listen pretty. It don't take a cock to conquer New York City.
I've always drawn since I was a little girl, but it was just like the same old crap that you draw when you're in high school, like fruit bowls and, you know, really photorealistic studies of banisters and overwrought melodramatic paintings of Kurt Cobain and how he really understood you. So, you know, it was like if you saw my drawings, then it looks nothing like what I do now. It's just, you know, you'd say, oh, that's someone who takes art classes and listens to alternative music. I really developed my style when I was in Europe because I had this beautiful sketch pad I had to live up to. It's my most treasured possession. It's a big old leather-bound sketch pad of everything I did there. It was $100, and to me that was a fortune then. You know, you couldn't mess that one up. Yeah, I had very little money. I had a little money my grandfather had left me, like I think about $1,000, and you know, some cash I had scraped up. I got to travel all over Morocco and Turkey. Then I went like to Bulgaria and Romania and Budapest and Paris and all over. Doing the pen and inks developed because I needed an art supply tool that I could buy anywhere, including in Do Beyazit, you know, or in Shanli Orfa, and that's a pilot pen. They sell pilot pens everywhere. You can dilute them with water, you know, just in a brush. They sell them in every city in the world, including cities that have no art supply stores at all. You can buy a pilot pen in the Sahara Desert. And if you get good at it, it kind of mimics, you know, this baby. So I first started working in pilot pen because of that, because I wanted something that I could buy and take and use anywhere. So yeah, I came back to New York, started going to school.
I met Molly actually in art school on my very first day of art school. We were both at FIT. And I noticed that unlike every other student in the class, she wasn't actually drawing on her like big student pad. She was drawing in her gorgeous like Parisian notebook. I'm like, where did you get that notebook? Yeah. Beautiful Parisian notebook in Paris. And then like we immediately skipped class and like had a bunch of coffee. And she was like, I just got back from Morocco. You should go to this hookah place. I'm like, really? And we sort of like met and were best friends. Immediately BFFs forever.
I had a boyfriend who broke up with me right before my 20th birthday, and to drown my misery I learned how to do old school crow quilling from the Watson Guptill book. Oh, okay. From the Arthur Guptill's Complete Rendering in Pen and Ink. I mean, I feel like I can make it do what I want to do now. A pen nib, they're almost like an extension of my hands. My first illustration job was covers for Screw magazine, which I thought was going to make me absolutely famous. When I did it, I begged and pleaded with their art director, and it paid $100 whole. I was really, really excited to do it, and the night that I did it, I looked at my painting and I said, this is the start of my very fine career as an illustrator. And then they didn't pay me for 9 months.
I mean, we met on the first day of college and we dropped out within a week of each other. Yeah, we've been collaborating on stuff on and off, ever since then. Originally we had conceived of like this idea of these 9 interlocking stories based in old New York, and they were absolutely fucking terrible. But when Zuda was going around looking for pitches, we sort of took some of the characters and we polished them up. We really got into them and really started to really outline the world and the characters and what was going to happen and how the mystery was going to go and who done it and all that. Maybe they didn't like the possible racy content because it wasn't going to be about burlesque performers and about the seedy vaudeville world.
I was sad we didn't get on Zuda, and me and John were kind of invested in the characters that we built. And it just seemed like such a shame to be like, oh, because we didn't get this corporate job, you know, let's just bury these things. So, you know, I was like, why don't we do it on Activate? Maybe we can get some exposure, you know, maybe we can get a print deal at some point, you know, which we ended up doing.
Actually, Scarlett was created for Backstage, and originally she was going to be a completely secondary character. Originally, like, the entire Scarlett narrative in Backstage was going to be just a throwaway joke. Ended up being like the entire thrust of the narrative. And when we were asked by Fugu Press, like, well, do you want to do something sort of based in this Backstage universe, the first thing we said is, well, we have to do Scarlett. Because she had, in the process of fleshing out the story, just like become one of our favorite characters.
Backstage was the first place that Scarlett appeared. The Scarlett that we have in Backstage is an embittered old morphine addict who bursts into flame at the end of the first act. This is her story of how she got there, because behind every embittered old morphine addict is a young girl with dreams, and we wanted to tell that. Scarlett is a love story in the 1880s vaudeville world. It's the story of how the poor Shifra Helfgott from the slums of New York became Queen Bee Fire Eater Scarlett O'Haring while taking on Tammany Hall in the process. Ultimately, Scarlett was a story that me and John really wanted to tell. It's about how the theater and persona has been used by poor people to transcend their lot in life.
In dialogue, we collaborate on the story. I do dialogue and page descriptions, and we sort of work on the character designs together. It's very organic. We'll sit and we'll talk about the story, and she'll say like, well, I really want the characters to do blank, 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 and then say, well, and then I'll like lay out the pages and go, well, we really need a big emotional hit here, and this should like be shortened, and we gotta switch to narration at this point because the story is like taking too long, and I sort of plan out sort of general layout. Then she does all the beautiful art and background information and details, and it's a real collaboration. It's a real back and forth.
I've been obsessed with Where's Waldo since I was a little kid. I think it's one of the biggest influences on my art, actually. Look, people are fighting. I love the idea of art rewarding repeated viewings. Where's Waldo is kind of the ultimate of that. So I definitely bring the Where's Waldo aesthetic to everything I draw. When Scarlett Takes Manhattan opens, we see Scarlett trying to please the robber baron Edwin van von Veer, who is at his own orgy and can't get it up. He's completely and totally jaded and kind of tired of all the stuff that his money has gotten him. And it's Scarlett's job to get him interested again. And so she does this by recounting the story of her life. Scarlett's tale opens. She is a poor Jewish girl from the slums of Manhattan, laundress for a mother, orphaned, young, works in a sweatshop, until she meets the mysterious and rather suave Daniel DeLovely, who is the man who will help her become the sort of theatrical diva and star that she later is. One thing that was really important for me with Scarlett was doing our first romantic hero, who was Daniel DeLovely. He's our first, like, unambiguous, you know, like, hot guy. He's pursuing our heroine. He's not gay like Johnny Panama is. He's not a thug like Johnny Dynamite is. He's our suave, debonair, Cary Grant-ish guy. And he's a woman. Probably one of my favorite characters. Despite the fact that, you know, he's rather criminal and controlling, he is the first, like, real revolutionary that we made, and he's really the person responsible for Scarlett's rise. I find New York to be the most incredibly inspiring city in the world. I've been to a lot of them, and almost every city seems like a joke of a city compared to New York. So I'm always talking about how Scarlett is a love story, and it is, but it's also our love story with New York City. It's our sort of fraught, scurrilous romance with New York City at its most incredibly cruel, filthy, awful, but wonderful time, which is the mid-1800s. It was an impossibly brutal place, and I feel like any story of Victorian New York has to emphasize that in any Horatio Alger story, the stakes were impossibly high, and the horrifying consequences were always just this close.
Oh man, Scarlet Cat. Oh man, Scarlet Cat. Oh goddamn. Oh goddamn. Yes, every time she shakes and she shivers. When she shivers, another dozen prudes throw themselves into the river, and every Puritan will be flattened when Scarlett takes Manhattan. And all you Bowery girls, listen pretty. It don't take a cock to conquer New York City. All you Bowery girls, listen pretty. It don't take a cock to conquer New York City.